Exactly 1 year ago, just after my 25th birthday, I woke up and decided today was the day. Today was the day I finally handed in my notice at my teaching job to pursue my dream small business full time. If you're new here, I'm Millie and I bring little joys to life through my illustrations and products and document my whole journey through content creation. After years of being in education and a music degree later, a lockdown passion project of learning to illustrate digitally turned into a fully fledged side hustle whilst I went on to my full-time training year to qualify as a music teacher.
Can I have a medium tiramisu latte, please? That's it, thank you.
After 3 years of juggling my business alongside classroom teaching, I finally took the leap to leave my teaching job to pursue my dream business and become a self-employed girly. 1 year later, I'm spilling all the tea. What is being a self-employed creative really like? I hope you enjoy.
So how did this all start? How did I end up with my own business? Was it intentional? No, it was not. It was actually kind of an accident. I think it was in the second lockdown. I had been playing a lot of Animal Crossing on my Nintendo Switch. Of course, my Instagram algorithm was all Animal Crossing this, Animal Crossing that. And I kept seeing people who were illustrating their Animal Crossing characters and posting them on Instagram. And they were using Procreate, which is the illustration app that I now use on my iPad. And I just remember thinking how cool it would be to have a go at illustrating my own Animal Crossing character. That is what I did. But then the second thing I drew was my sister's puppy Roo because she'd just got him. And then I got messages from people when I shared that asking if I could draw their pets. And it just kind of spiraled from there. So the business started as a completely different business to what it is today. So this is your sign if you want to start a business but you're not sure exactly what you want it to be, or you've not got it all figured out. You don't need to have it all figured out. Just start and the business will grow and evolve with you. So from that point, I had a few months before I was then starting my full-time teacher training course. I just finished my undergraduate degree, my music degree at university. So I had a few months from then until I started my full-time teacher training course to just kind of have a bit of freedom. And that is when I really started to draw more. I was drawing more pets, started a little Instagram page, called myself Prince by Millie, which I'm still called today. By the time I did start my full-time teacher training course, the business had actually taken off quite a bit and I was getting quite a few orders on Etsy, a lot more than I anticipated. So then it was the case of juggling my business now with my full-time teacher training course, and it was very stressful to say the least. I feel like I literally had no spare time. I was getting home from teaching all day or being at uni all day, and then I was spending my entire evening working on the business, which I wouldn't have changed for the world because I loved it so much. But the thing I massively struggled with when I was juggling full-time work and running a business as well was that I couldn't prioritise the things that really mattered to me, whether it was personal or business related. I couldn't prioritise social media and posting on Instagram a lot, YouTube, because I just didn't have the time at all. I would not have been able to squeeze it in. And YouTube now is my favourite part of running my business. The fact that I did eventually make time for that because I went part-time and now I'm obviously full-time doing this. If I'd have stayed doing a full-time job, I would never have started this channel. That is just crazy to think about. So yeah, the fact that I couldn't prioritise things that I really wanted to, I really struggled with that because my main priority was always packing orders and getting them out the door, and I feel like that's literally all I had the time to do, really. Something I always look back to, and what people ask me quite a lot as well, is how I knew that was the right time to make the decision to go full-time. It had just been my 25th birthday. I was just finding myself constantly feeling really stressed trying to juggle my classroom teaching job and running the business as well. And because the business was continuing to grow more and more, I got to a point where I was financially and mentally ready to make the decision. And I literally just woke up one day, I think it was about a week after my 25th birthday, and I just turned to Lewis and I said, I think I'm going to hand my notice in at my teaching job. Because every day that I would wake up and have to go and do my teaching job, I was sad because I just wanted to stay at home and work on the business. And the days, this is when I was part-time, because I gradually went from full-time employment to then part-time teaching employment to now I do this full-time. So I've kind of had a taste for all three, being a full-time employed person whilst running a business, being part-time employed whilst running a small business, and to now being a full-time business owner. But yeah, when I was part-time, the days that I was at home all day working on the business, I woke up and I just felt like a completely different person, and that was the person that I wanted to be every day. And it is a very scary decision, and one that you can't take lightly, because if you're like me, you have a mortgage to pay, you have bills to pay, you have a dog to look after, a household to run. Like, you can't just drop everything if you're not financially ready. So you have to, of course, be in a financially stable place in order to make that decision. But if you have savings behind you, if your job is quite flexible, and if you were to leave, could you get it back? Could you get a job similar? If you're in a position like that and you have savings, you have money to fall back on, I do really think the amount of time you gain when you're just focusing on your business, you're putting more hours into it, more energy. So of course, hopefully it's only going to go up. And if you can let go of that part-time job or reduce your hours to put more time into the business, and if you see it growing, then you have something behind you, and you know that if you were to eventually become a full-time small business owner, hopefully things would just be on the up and you would feel really comfortable in making that decision, if that makes sense. So that's how I knew that it was the right time. Things were up on the trajectory. I knew that I'd be so much happier in myself. I knew that I'd be financially stable, and I just did not want to be a part-time employee anymore. I did not want to teach anymore. It was not my passion, and life is too short to be doing things that don't make you happy. So let's talk a little bit about the highs of being a full-time creative small business owner. The first one for me is flexibility. I love the fact that I'm now in full control of my day, so I can create when I feel the most creative and I feel the most inspired. I don't have to force my creative time to be within the hours that I'm home from my day job, because in the evenings, that is not when I feel the most creative most of the time. Most of the time it's in the morning, and when I was teaching in the morning and then coming home in the evening, I found that really difficult, because I felt like I was forcing myself to be creative, because things had to be illustrated, had to be designed, had to be created for social media. So the fact that I can now tailor my workday to how I'm feeling and how inspired I feel is just an amazing thing. And flexibility as well, in terms of if I'm not feeling great one day, I can work on less strenuous tasks that don't require too much energy and that I know I will be able to get done even if I'm not feeling 100%. And then the next day, if I'm feeling better, I can go back to my to-do list and do those things that I was probably going to do yesterday but I wasn't feeling up to it. One other thing in the realm of flexibility as well is that when I was younger, I used to volunteer and sing in a local pop choir, which is run by a really good friend of mine. I know she watches these videos, so hi. But yeah, I used to volunteer and I used to sing in that choir. It's an amazing choir. And when I was doing my teaching and doing my business, I really struggled to find time to go and do that, because it's on a Wednesday evening. And in the evenings, that was my time that I had to work on the business, and I just struggled to find time for any outside of work activities that I find joy in. So singing is a massive thing for me, obviously being musical, but I've just always loved it, and singing in a choir, there's just something so special about it. So the fact that I had to drop that, I think that affected me more than I thought at the time, but when I look back, I feel like I can notice a difference now. But I am now back singing in that choir because obviously I have more flexibility. I can spend my evenings doing that because I'm not having to work every single evening on the business. I just missed it so much, and I'm so happy that I'm back singing in it. It's really weird because even though I was teaching music, I feel like I do more musical things now that I'm not teaching music, which is really strange. And teaching music is completely different to being involved with music, and I'd much rather be involved than teaching it. Something else that I've really leaned into over this past year of being full-time self-employed is email marketing and just building a deeper connection with my audience in general. OmniSend is an email and SMS marketing platform. It's a place where people can sign up to receive emails from you and your business. You can send them discounts, exclusive behind-the-scenes content. You can use email marketing to your advantage in so many ways, and one thing I did recently is in one of my YouTube videos, this one right here, I spoke about all my printer settings that I use for my new printer, which was a really highly impressive video. But obviously when you're watching a video, it's sometimes quite difficult to soak in all the information, so I put all the information into a really visually appealing ebook, and I created a landing page on OmniSend so that when people put their email address into this and sign up to my email list, they'll then get sent the ebook directly to them. So it's a way of getting people onto your email list and giving them something in return, and I think that's one of the best ways to get people in and to get them signed up to your email list, because you're giving them value. And this is how many people I've had sign up to my emails since posting that video, and I only posted it the other day at this point. So it's just incredible. And now those people that have signed up because they wanted that ebook, they will now get all the emails that I send out to my subscribers with deals, my Monday Mindset series that I send, Fan Fave Fridays, and I've got them hooked in now. They can of course leave and unsubscribe if they want to, but I think hopefully they'll want to stick around because there are just so many amazing things you can give back to your audience through OmniSend. And if you would like to give OmniSend a try, you can use the code Millie30 for 30% off your first 3 months, and I'll leave a link down in the description. I think my first I made it moment was quite recently actually. I was sat on my computer working my way through my emails, and I'd had quite a few YouTube sponsorships booked up like quite well in advance, probably for like 2 or 3 months in advance. And I'd had a couple of brands email me that I really wanted to work with, but their time schedule said they wanted content from me within that month or the next month, and I had to go back to them and say, I'm really sorry, but I'm booked up this month for YouTube sponsorships and next month. Do you have any slots the month after? And I remember liaising with those brands, and I was getting quite stressed because I was thinking, I really want to work with them, but what if they don't want to work with me now or go to someone else because I can't fit them in my YouTube sponsorship schedule, because I only like to do 1 sponsorship a week. I wouldn't want to do any more than that. 1, because YouTube videos take so long to edit. I love the process of editing, but it is really time consuming. So yeah, I usually just upload once a week. But then I had to like pinch myself and slap myself around the face because I was getting stressed over something that was so amazing, really. The fact that I was booked up for YouTube sponsorship so far in advance, when if you told me a couple of years ago that at this point now that would be one of my struggles within my business, is trying to find the space for these brands that I want to work with, I would have literally had to say to myself, pull yourself together, that is incredible, do not be getting stressed about that. And it all worked out in the end. But yeah, that was a real pinch me, I made it moment, because YouTube is one of my favourite parts of this business, and working with brands and doing the sponsorships, it's just incredible. So yeah, that was just so surreal. And another high is just that I have so much more time now to do the little things that make me happy in life, like taking Otis out for longer walks. I don't have to rush his walks thinking, oh, I've got to be back so that I've got time to get ready for work and stuff like that. In my lunch break, I can read a chapter of my book. I can make nice meals for me and Lewis because I'm not rushing all the time. Life is just so much better. But it's not all sunshine and rainbows, so let's talk about the lows. I think the biggest negative for me is the fact that you have the constant pressure of being solely responsible for your income. You don't have anyone to fall back to. It's just you, and you're in this alone. Unless of course you're a limited company and you have employees, but I'm just a sole trader. I'm not a limited company, it's just me. And touch wood, I've not had a month yet where I've struggled to cover things that I need to cover and also do things that I want to do. But it's just the constant in the back of your head knowing that if things do go south, you're the only person responsible for that. So it's the responsibility of making sure you do your email marketing, making sure you're posting on social media, making sure I get a video out on YouTube every single month, because you have to constantly be showing up, because if you don't, you run the risk of people forgetting about you and not going onto your website, not placing that order that they probably thought of when they saw that product in your video. It's a lot of pressure, but I try not to let it get to me. I try not to think about it too much. I just make sure that every single month I have pots set up with my bank. I use Monzo, and I have savings, so I have them to fall back on. I have a tax pot, so every part of income that comes into my bank, a certain percentage gets put into that tax pot, so I know that when it's time to pay taxes, I've got more than enough in there to cover that. It's just a case of being sensible with your money and just being sensible, really. It's the pressure though that's the hard part, I think, for me anyway. Honestly, that's the only real downside for me of being a full-time self-employed creative. Kind of linked to that, I guess, is the fact that because you are the only person, you're responsible for every part of your business, and it is a massive struggle to basically take on multiple different job roles for your business. You have to be a social media manager, you have to be a video editor, you have to be a designer, customer service. The list is literally endless, and that's what you kind of sign up for when you decide to run your own creative business. So we kind of just have to suck it up, really. So some of the main things and lessons I've learned from being self-employed for a year is 1. Running a business is more marketing than creating. If I was to add up all the hours that I've spent in the past month creating and illustrating compared to the hours that I've spent marketing, emails, social media, customer service, admin, the ratio would be crazy. It'd be something like 1 to 100. Like I mentioned a minute ago, you take on so many roles. It's not just a case of sitting, drawing on your iPad every day, just sitting in your cozy chair, just la-di-da, I'm just drawing this, then I'm drawing that, then I'm going to move on to this. Most of my days are spent sat at my computer looking at my screen doing a lot more mundane things than just drawing pretty things all day. It's video editing, editing photos, product photography, customer service, social media, all the things. I would not change it for the world, but yeah, the reality is that most of your time is spent doing marketing than actually creating. Although you could argue that marketing is a form of creation, I suppose. I really enjoy it, thank goodness. The other things that I've written down that I wanted to touch on in this section of what I've learned, I've actually touched on in the previous sections, but I've made a note that time definitely is money, which is what I was hoping when I handed my notice in at my teaching job, because I was obviously hoping that the more time I can put into the business, I'll go up on the trajectory. Can't say that word, up on the trajectory, and my income and everything else will go up as well, which it has, luckily. So time definitely is money in more than one sense. Now that I'm putting more time into the business, it's doing the best it ever has done, and if I hadn't have made that decision to leave my teaching job, it would be really interesting to see where the business would be now in comparison, but I guess we'll never know. Another lesson I've learned is that the little joys keep me so much more focused and motivated. Making sure I make time for those little moments and little things that make me happy and bring me joy feeds into how I feel motivation wise and how inspired I feel. Going to a cafe to work like I have done today, doing some drawing, whether it's on my iPad or whether it is with my colouring books. Reading, I've really got into that recently and I'm really enjoying it. Freedom McFadden is where it's at right now. Going for longer walks with Otis, just things that fill my cup really feed back into the business, and I think that's definitely a huge lesson I've learned, is that it's so essential to make time for those things. To sum it up, being a self-employed creative is 100% worth it. I'm the happiest that I've ever been. It has changed my life. I feel so grateful to be in this position, to be able to do this for a living. I don't like saying I'm lucky because it's not down to luck, it's down to a lot of late hours, long nights, hard work, dedication that I've got to this point. But if I can do it, you can do it too. Let's drink to that. So sad it's nearly finished. If you're dreaming of taking that leap someday of becoming a full-time small business owner, I really hope this video has encouraged you, and I hope it's shown you that it is possible. I'm so excited for year 2. The business has changed direction very, very recently. If you've not watched that video, I will leave it linked on the screen, and the next collection and shop drop is coming on Monday the 30th of June at 7 PM BST, and it's the first collection drop in this new direction of the business, so it's a very, very exciting one. I really hope this video has inspired you, motivated you, shown you that anything is possible if you put your mind to it. Thank you guys so much for watching, and hopefully I will see you very soon in the next one. Bye guys!